The tongue Megan uses in the opening exorcism scene is not a replica. It is the original foam-latex prop molded from Linda Blair's tongue during the 1973 production of The Exorcist. These are 20 hidden details you completely missed in Scary Movie 2. Number 20. The elongated tongue that appears around the 5-minute mark of Scary Movie 2 looks like a standard horror prop built for the film. It was not. IMDb production records and The Exorcist's own documentation confirm the piece is the original foam-latex tongue molded from actress Linda Blair during William Friedkin's 1973 production. Director Keenen Ivory Wayans sourced the actual artifact from the film being parodied in the same sequence. Look at the tongue as Megan uses it in the opening scene and compare it to the 1973 original. The texture and coloring match exactly. A physical object from a half-century-old horror film appears in a parody of that same film, and most viewers assumed it was a copy. Number 19. The map Cindy consults on her drive to Hell House looks like a standard movie prop with no meaningful background detail. Read the fine print. The street names printed on the map include Elm Street from A Nightmare on Elm Street, Camp Crystal Lake from Friday the 13th, Blair Woods from The Blair Witch Project, and Amityville from the Amityville Horror. Keenen Ivory Wayans and the writing team filled a throwaway prop with the entire history of the genre being parodied. Pause on the map during Cindy's drive and look at the street names in the background. The camera never holds long enough for most viewers to read any of them in real time. The whole horror genre is embedded in a prop most viewers process as scenery. Number 18. The imposing exterior of Hell House looks like a purpose-built horror production design constructed specifically for Scary Movie 2. It is a real, functioning private estate in Pasadena, California. The property at 380 South San Rafael Avenue is the same mansion used as Wayne Manor in the 1966 Batman television series. It has also appeared in Rush Hour, Bowfinger, and Dead Again, making it one of the most frequently used filming locations in Los Angeles history. Look at the mansion's stone archway and entrance steps in the establishing shots and compare them to the Batman television series opening titles. They are identical. Every haunted hallway the cast runs through exists as a real room inside a real house that has appeared across decades of Hollywood productions. Number 17. The climactic moment when Hansen opens the top of Shorty's skull appears to be a throwaway gag. Look closely at what is inside. The tiny dancing figure is Lester Green, known professionally as Beetlejuice, a regular performer on the Howard Stern radio program. Keenen Ivory Wayans cast a real radio personality for a gag that lasts only seconds, and that most viewers process too quickly to identify. Pause the open skull sequence and look at the face of the dancing figure. It is a real person performing an original routine on a miniature set, not a puppet or animation. The film hit a fully produced celebrity cameo inside a moment no one was watching for, and the next reveal hides a cast secret inside the walls of the set. Number 16. The wall behind Shorty in the basement hiding sequence appears to be unadorned set dressing. Look at the surface. The graffiti scratched into the background reads IT, a direct reference to actor Tim Curry's most famous role as Pennywise in the 1990 Stephen King adaptation. Wayans embedded the Easter egg knowing Curry was already playing Hansen in the film, creating a hidden in-joke about the cast member that only attentive viewers would connect to the character on screen. Look at the wall behind Shorty in the basement sequence. The lettering sits in the background without the camera ever drawing attention to it. The film hid references to its own cast inside its own scenery, and the Curry reference is the most layered example the production left behind. Number 15. Hansen's disproportionately small deformed hand reads as a quick costume joke throughout the film. The prop required significant fabrication work. The piece was a custom silicone sleeve sculpted with realistic skin texture, liver spots, and interior space so actor Chris Elliott could manipulate it from inside during every scene. Multiple duplicates were built so the finish would not deteriorate across the warm food sequences, and a non-movable static version was used for specific close-up gags. Look at the hand closely in any dinner scene. The silicone surface has three-dimensional texture that required weeks of craftsmanship. The recurring gag that defines the character was built over careful production time the film never acknowledges, and the schedule pressures surrounding that craftsmanship are far more visible elsewhere in the finished product. Number 14. When Cindy sings badly along with a pop song on her car radio, a voice breaks the fourth wall to respond. That voice belongs to the actual artist. The voice is Colleen Fitzpatrick, known professionally as Vitamin C, credited under her stage name in the official cast list. Keenen Ivory Wayans cast the real recording artist to personally respond to Cindy's performance of her own song. The credit rolls past without the film ever announcing the joke. Listen to the car radio sequence and the voice that interrupts Cindy. It is a credited cast member, not a generic background voice. The film embedded a real casting decision inside what looked like a throwaway audio gag. and the production's cast list confirms it in plain sight. Number 13. The basketball commercial parody around the 27-minute mark looks like a fully planned, choreographed sequence. The characters appear in the wrong clothes. IMDb documentation confirms the cast wears outfits belonging to the following day's timeline, a continuity error from the compressed production schedule. Dimension Films required the film to reach theaters by July 4, 2001, forcing sequences to be filmed out of order without adequate continuity oversight. According to Collider's production coverage, reshoots were still being captured weeks before release. Look at the characters' clothing during the basketball sequence and compare it to the outfits in surrounding scenes. The wardrobe does not match the film's timeline. The rushed schedule left a visible mark exactly here, and that same pressure defined one performer's entire arc across the finished film. Number 12. Actor Tori Spelling appears as a featured ensemble cast member in the film's promotional materials, but has considerably less screen time in the finished cut than her character's storyline would suggest. Spelling confirmed on her 2024 podcast that her role was originally written to carry roughly 3/4 of the film before being substantially reduced following her decision to decline a specific scene the studio had written into the production. Aaron Spelling, her father, and one of Hollywood's most powerful television producers, was consulted during the standoff and told her that declining a Miramax production carried predictable consequences. Look at Alex's sudden absence from the film's midsection after her death by chandelier. The edit is abrupt because the character's storyline was actively cut rather than written to conclude naturally. Number 11. Alex's death by chandelier appears to be a seamless physical effects sequence filmed with the actress. A fake head was used for the impact. IMDb production trivia and Scary Movie franchise documentation both confirm that a fabricated prop head was sculpted and substituted for Tori Spelling during the actual moment of impact. The substitution was made because the sequence required footage that could not be safely captured with a human performer in that position. Pause the chandelier impact frame and look at the head in the shot. The sculpted prosthetic face is visible on a frame-by-frame inspection. A sequence that looks seamless on first viewing contains a hidden proper placement that only becomes detectable when the film is paused at the exact right moment. Number 10. The film's score sounds like a unified composition designed for the production from the start. The original was rejected entirely. Composer George S. Clinton delivered a full 70-minute orchestral score that was discarded according to IMDb credits and Film Score Monthly documentation. Composer Marco Beltrami was brought in to coordinate the replacement, and described it to Film Talk as the fastest project of his career, completed in approximately 4 to 5 days using cues from 11 additional composers. Listen to any tonal shift across different scenes. Almost nothing in the finished soundtrack was written for the sequences it now accompanies. The entire score was assembled under extreme time pressure, and a similar pressure defined the performance of a key cast member in the very same opening scene. Number 9. Father McFeely's opening reaction when he first sees Megan appears to be a scripted response. The line was never in the screenplay. Actor James Woods improvised his first moment on set, according to IMDb production records, adding it himself without any written version. Woods had been brought in as a replacement after the original performer's departure and entered the role with creative freedom to develop the character rapidly. Listen to the very first line Father McFeely delivers when he steps into Megan's room. It is an improvisation by a replacement actor finding the character in real time. The moment that lands as the scene's biggest laugh was never written by anyone, and the story of who was originally supposed to be there is far stranger than the improvisation. Number 8. Andy Richter appears as the second priest throughout the opening exorcism without any indication that his contract contained highly specific language about the scene. Richter told CinemaBlend his agreement included a clause specifying that only the originally cast performer could portray physical aggression toward his character. That clause became void when the original performer left the production. The language had been negotiated before a single frame was captured, written assuming the original casting would hold. Watch the exorcism sequence knowing that Richter's participation was governed by actor-specific legal terms referring to someone who never appears in the finished film. The original performer's presence is felt in a contract even though it cannot be seen on screen. And that performer's story is even more surprising than the contract itself. Number 7. James Woods plays Father McFeely in every frame of the finished film, and most viewers assume he was always the intended performer for the role. He was not the first choice, the second choice, or even the third. Marlon Brando had been cast as Father McFeely, paid reportedly between $1 million and $2 million, and shot one full day of footage on set while being fed his lines through an earpiece by a crew member standing off camera. Brando's health prevented him from continuing, and the footage was discarded. Watch every Woods scene in the opening sequence knowing that a fully paid, fully filmed performance by one of Hollywood's most iconic actors was captured and replaced before this version existed. The film audiences saw was the backup plan. Number 6. The only known recording of Marlon Brando performing as Father McFeely has never been publicly released by Dimension Films. Natasha Lyonne confirmed in a 2022 Variety interview that she personally kept a VHS copy of footage from the single day Brando filmed on set, making her the documented holder of what may be his final on-set performance. The footage was never included in any DVD bonus features or home video release. Look at every frame of the opening exorcism in the finished film knowing that a parallel version exists on a personal VHS held by one of its cast members. The most historically significant footage connected to this production has never been seen by the public, and sits in a private collection. Number 5. James Woods and Natasha Lyonne seem like obvious choices for the roles they play. Neither was the first choice. Charlton Heston declined the Father McFeely role before Brando was approached. Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears both turned down the Megan role before Lyonne accepted it. According to IMDb production records, the casting required 3 separate rejections for one role and 2 for the other before the production could move forward. According to Variety's production coverage, Brando became the 3rd attempt for Father McFeely before also departing. Watch the opening exorcism knowing that both performers on screen were each the 3rd choice for the roles they are playing. And the timeline that produced those decisions was unlike any normal Hollywood production. Number 4. The film's ensemble structure feels like a carefully assembled comedy with clear internal logic. Reshoots were still being filmed 2 weeks before audiences. Andy Richter confirmed in his Cinema Blend interview that reshoots were captured in late June for a July 4th release date. Dimension Films greenlit the sequel after Scary Movie earned $278 million worldwide on a $19 million budget, then compressed the entire pipeline into roughly 9 months. The $45 million budget and the accelerated timeline left visible marks throughout. Look at any lighting inconsistency between scenes or any tonal shift without setup. Those are the footprints of a film still being completed when its opening weekend audience was already buying tickets. And the studio's decisions did not stop at the schedule. Number 3, the film ends with a resolution that feels like the only version Keenen Ivory Wayans ever intended. 3 complete alternate endings exist. The official Dimension DVD includes a creature attack parody ending, a version in which James Woods returns before the twist reveals all of Cindy's friends are ghosts, and a version where Cindy is struck by a vehicle inside the mansion's hallway. The ghost twist ending reframes every preceding character interaction, making scenes between Cindy and her friends read differently than the theatrical cut allows. According to IMDb alternate versions documentation, all 3 were fully produced before one was chosen. Watch the theatrical ending and then find the ghost twist version on DVD. The 2 cuts tell structurally different stories about which characters were ever real. Number 2. The furnace room sequence plays as a pure haunted house set piece with no apparent subtext. A burned ballot box with the word Florida written on it sits among the debris. Keenen Ivory Wayans and the writing team embedded a reference to the disputed 2000 United States presidential election into a scene where no dialogue draws attention to it. The joke sits in the background with no punchline. Look at the debris near the lower portion of the furnace room frame and find the ballot box. A reference to one of the most contested elections in American history is hiding in the background of a comedy scene, and the film never mentions it. The biggest reveal connected to this production, however, did not happen on screen at all. Number 1. Scary Movie 2 is the second and final film made by the family that created the franchise. Marlon Wayans confirmed in the Variety 20th Anniversary Oral History that the Wayans family learned from a magazine article on Christmas Eve that Dimension Films was continuing without them for the 3rd installment. Keenen Ivory Wayans, Sean Wayans, and Marlon Wayans were removed from their own franchise without being directly informed before the decision became public. Every creative compromise and every casting battle documented here was navigated by people who had no idea they were producing the last chapter of a series that would continue without them. Watch the film again with that knowledge. Every frame is a goodbye the people making it did not know they were saying. Scary Movie 2 looks like a rushed sequel. Underneath that is a Hollywood legend's lost performance on a private VHS, 3 buried endings, a 1973 prop hiding in plain sight, and a creative family fired from their own franchise. Every background detail rewards a second look. Which hidden detail surprised you most? And what film should we open next?